So let's take a look at what you get in the kit for the replacement Vauxhall Key. It's a key case replacement. Okay, inside you get a new plastic case with a flick shoulder with a blank key. You can't simply exchange this flip shoulder for the one in the original key. They're a slightly different size and they're not compatible. So you've got two options essentially. One, you can simply swap over the PCB from the original key into the new key and take this to a key cut service to get the ignition key cut to match. Or there is a process where you can actually take the blade from this key and replace it in the new one, so that to avoid that cost. But it depends how much mechanical aptitude you've got and how comfortable you feel with doing that. So the simplest way is obviously just to swap the PCB from one to the other and then go and get the key cut. But if you don't want to do that, we'll show you how to replace them. Okay, to swap over the printed circuit board from the donor key to the new key, you are going to need a few simple basic tools. I actually use, to separate the key body and to get it apart, I actually use some circlip pliers, because you can squeeze them and they exert a force. You can open them up with a screwdriver, but if you do, there is a possibility that you could damage the key body, or you could damage the printed circuit board inside. So just urge caution. Okay. If you're actually going to change the key itself across from the original to the donor, you're going to need a couple of other things. You're going to need a hammer, okay, some pliers or some sort of grips, and something to drive out the roll pin that holds the key in place. If you look on the shoulder of this key, you'll see, I don't know how well that's going to come out on the camera, I'll try and zoom in on that later, but there's a small roll pin that holds the key into the shoulder. We need to drift that out. Because I'm looking at doing this without any specialist tools so that you can do the same at home, I'm actually just using a pair of panel pins. Okay, I've taken some really ordinary panel pins that you can buy in any DIY store you may have around the garage or in the shed, and I've just filed the edge off to remove the point, so that you've got something that you can drift the pin out with. The pin is in fact a roll pin, so you need a flat surface to drive it out, because if you drive something into the center of the roll pin, it's circular, you'll squash it out and it'll bind on the sides. So you need something to push that through that's an appropriate diameter. So as you can see here, I've got to zoom in a little bit, and this is the roll pin that we need to push through to take the actual key out from the flip shoulder. Okay, so let's look at what you get with the replacement key. You just get the key body, the flip shoulder assembly, and there's a screw to hold the two halves together that locates under where the badge would go. If you're able to get the badge off the old key, there is a potential you can swap that over if that's necessary for you. Okay, to get that open, I'm using a pair of circlip pliers. I'm just inserting them underneath the key and pushing that apart so that the key body comes apart. You'll see you've got the screw. Okay, there's the two halves of the body, and the back cover, or the battery cover, comes off, and there's the contacts for the battery inside. And here you have the two button arrangement, and this is the profile that sits there for the PCB to sit on. You'll notice here that there's a little spigot on the key body itself. I hope that's coming out in the picture okay. There's a little spigot here, there's a locates in a hole in the printed circuit board. And something interesting to note as well also is on this half of the key, let me try and get a better light on that for you. There's a spigot that the spring goes over. The spring provides two things. Okay, the spring provides tension to push the button back into location, but also provides torque. And if you'll notice on this screw, it has a little bail arm. Okay, and there's a slot here in the plastic that will engage into. And we will need to wind up the flick shoulder to put some tension in that, and put a bit of torque into that spring to make it flick properly. And we'll show you how to do that when we put the thing back together. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a spigot inside the key where the spring should engage, and there's a slot in this surrounding plastic moulding that accommodates the arm on the spring to enable you to torsion up the spring. I'm just going through the same process with the original key now to get the components apart. There was a bit that actually broke off, so one of the three lugs on this key is broken, but it's very much the same. And here inside is the PCB. If you handle printed circuit boards, you need to make sure that you're not carrying a lot of static electricity. If you wear nylon overalls or something like that, if you're used to getting static shocks when you touch things, then if you apply static to the board, you can damage it. So just be careful, always hold PCBs by the edge and try not to touch the track or the components. Here you'll see, if I can bring that up, there's the location hole that locates onto the spigot inside the other key over here, so that when they go together the buttons will line up. Now we'll take a look at the flip shoulder itself. As you'll see, you've got the key with the roll pin, and if you look at the two sides of this, when you look at the hole that passes through, on this side there are just two openings or two cutouts, and on the other side there are three, one of which they don't go all the way through. On the button you'll see that there are three protuberances or little bits that stick out at different heights. This only fits into this one way round, so you need the key to be with the three slots showing. You drop this in, it can only go properly one way, and that's how you can see that it's the right way, is that the button drops all the way to the bottom of that opening. Okay, if it's in on a different slot, it won't go down properly. Okay, and that you won't be able to put the key together. Right, so it only really goes one way. You can tell that by the fact that the button is dropped all the way through. Okay, I'm going to put the key flip shoulder back into the body. So taking this part with the spigot on the corner, I'm going to put the key on there. Obviously the push button needs to be situated so it's the furthest through that it will go. And then in order for the key to flip, we need to wind it up so that the key has some torsion in it. So we need to go anti-clockwise a couple of turns so that there's some torque on the spring that will help the key to flip open when you push the button when it's in use. So let's bring that round, settle that down there. Okay, so I'm just holding it in place with my thumb, holding the key body together with my thumb and forefinger, and I'm taking the other side of the key with the board in place, popping that in there like that, rotating them together. Whoop, just rotate them together. I'll get my fat fingers out of the way. There we go. Excellent. Okay, now sometimes if the board moves out of position, it's difficult to close this up. Don't force it. Okay, what you need to do is just open up that back end and give it a little wiggle and just allow that to come back together again properly. Okay, just like that. Don't force it. And then that's it. It's as simple as that. It's not rocket science, so we're not trying. It's a bit fiddly. You need some mechanical aptitude, but it's very straightforward, really. So now that you've got the key in this condition, you've obviously got the electronics inside that will enable you to operate the car. You can take the original blank and the new key and get them cut if you prefer, or you can swap the keys over between the two shoulders if you wish, and I'll show you how to do that next. So as you'll see, I've got the flip shoulder, the key. You can see the roll pin here. I'll get that to focus properly. The light's not very good, I'm afraid. I'm just supporting the body of the shoulder with the with an M10 nut or something. It just needs to be able to support the sides so that the pin can drift through. Give that a little bit of love. As you can see, that's driving the pin through. We'll just pop that out with the pliers, a pair of grips, just gently pull that through. So we want to retain the pin with the same body, so keep the new body with the new pin, and we're going to replace the blade and we'll drift that out of the other key, and then we'll show you how to put that together, how to put the original blade with the cut in it into this new shoulder. Okay, so I've drifted the pin out of the original, and that also comes apart. Okay, and I'm going to discard the original roll pin and the original body, put them out of the way. If you're going to swap the key blades over, obviously keep the original roll pin with the original key body or the flip shoulder. As you'll see, if I can get this to focus, there's a groove on this side of the key. When you insert that into the slot, the groove needs to be down to align with the hole. Okay, I don't know if you can see through there. Let me see if I can get an angle on that for you. You can see all the way through. Sometimes the keys don't line up properly. If you've got any sort of encroachment on the hole here with the main key, you can just ease this with a file, with a small needle file. This one, yeah. If there's any interference in the hole, it tends to be this little back edge, okay, where it's going into the key body. So we just need to just ease that corner a little bit. So again, I'm doing that with a file, just to take that hard edge off and just to ease it so that it doesn't encroach on the hole. So there is a little bit of fettling to do to get it to fit, but don't force things, because if you force it you break the roll pin, and of course if you break the roll pin you're into buying a new key, and that's not recommended, is it? So what I've done here, oh, I don't know if you can focus on that. See if I can get it to focus on my fingers, that'd be good. So I've just eased that slot a little bit just so it lines up better with the new. You can see I've just edged that corner back at a slight angle to just make it align better with the hole. So the pin's starting to go in. I can't get around the camera very easily. I'm just gripping that in together with the grips and pushing. Okay. To push the roll pin into place and drive it through. There we go. So that's the old key in the new shoulder with the pin through to hold it in place. See that? Okay, that's great. So it just does need a little bit of fine tuning. Not all keys are manufactured the same. There's obviously a tolerance. So it just needs a bit of fettling. So you do need a set of files as well. And then obviously the process is the same to reassemble your body. So again, I've got the key body with the circuit board over the little spigot and engaged on the slot at the bottom of the board so that it lines up. I've got the key here. I'm looking at the side with 3 slots showing, and just drop that button in so that it falls all the way through as far as it can. So it only goes in one way, and that's not it either. There we go. So you can see there, can you see that? The button's dropped all the way through to the furthest it can. Pop the spring in with the arm showing out. Okay. And again with this part, the battery case part of the key body, you can see this spigot here. Just put that inside the spring, and then in order to get the spring to flick, we need to wind it up, so we need to do a couple of turns. 1 anti-clockwise. You're seeing that, okay. It's coming around. Okay, I'm just holding that together and holding it in place with my thumb. Okay, just holding it with the thumb on the edge there. The button's charged, the spring's cranked up. And then taking the body of the key, popping that through the hole so that the corner comes up first and holds the spring and everything in place. Okay, make sure my board's still in place. Twist them together, just squeeze them together so that they come together comfortably. And that's it. As I said before, if the board moves, this edge won't come together. Don't force it, there's no necessity to do that. Okay, and there we are. So there's the key together. Okay, the flip shoulder, a new key body with the original PCB installed and the old key. And then we have a little screw that just goes in the back here that holds it all together. Okay, and you obviously need a small screwdriver to be able to drive that home. And that's it, complete. So good luck with your new key, and hope it gives you many years of good service. Thanks for watching. Cheers, bye-bye.